We always think of the Enlightenment as this incredible age of progress, right? The moment we finally ditch superstition for reason and science. But what if that very promise, the one that was supposed to liberate us from fear, actually had the seeds of a new disaster baked right into it? That's the complex and honestly pretty mind-blowing idea we're going to get into today. Triumphant calamity. I mean, wow, that's a heavy line from the philosophers Adorno and Horkheimer. It's a total contradiction, and it forces us to ask a really tough question. How could the quest for knowledge, this beautiful light of reason, end up casting such a dark, oppressive shadow over our world? Let's unpack that. Okay, so to really get where things went sideways, we have to first appreciate what the Enlightenment was trying to do. And its goal, you gotta admit, was incredibly noble. The mission was simple, but also totally radical. Free humanity from fear. Think about it. Before the Enlightenment, the world was this scary, unpredictable place, full of myths, magic, and forces you just couldn't understand. Nature was in charge. The big promise was to flip the script, to replace all that fantasy with solid knowledge, to basically disenchant the world so that we, for the first time, could be the masters of our own fate. So how are they going to pull off this incredible feat? Well, humanity built itself a brand new tool. And this wasn't just any old reason, it was a very specific kind of logic, designed for one thing and one thing only: mastery. They called it instrumental reason. Now, the core idea here, which came from thinkers like Francis Bacon, is that knowledge isn't just for, the joy of learning stuff. No. Knowledge is power. It's a tool for commanding nature. So think of it less like a curious mind and more like a perfectly programmed machine, built to do one thing: calculate and control. So, how does this machine actually work? It's pretty much a four-step process. First, you observe something out there in the world: a river, a forest, even another person. Next, you strip away all of its unique qualities: its beauty, its history, its soul, anything you can't measure. Then, you reduce what's left to cold, hard data: a number, a formula, and finally, you use that formula to predict what it's going to do and ultimately to control it. At the end of the day, this kind of reason sees the entire world as one giant system to be managed. Everything, from a distant star to a human feeling, gets reduced to just matter, raw material for the machine. And if something can't be measured or shoved into a formula, well, it's just dismissed as fantasy, as noise. And this is where our story takes a sharp turn. It's the point where the very tool that was designed to set us free starts to build a whole new kind of cage. I mean, really think about it. You've got a system that can predict and manipulate basically anything. We're on our way to becoming masters of the universe. What could possibly go wrong? Well, here's the huge irony. In its mission to destroy all the old myths, the Enlightenment accidentally creates a new one. The old fear was of unknown gods in the sky. The new fear is of anything that lies outside the neat, tidy, measurable system. This new myth is called positivism. It's the rigid belief that if you can't measure it, it isn't real, period. What you get is a world of false clarity, where everything seems simple, but all the depth, all the mystery is just gone. And this quote just nails the problem. When reason becomes nothing more than a tool to get things done efficiently, it loses its ability to be critical. It stops asking, why are we even doing this? And only cares about, how do we do it faster? It gets so good at calculating that it completely forgets how to question its own goals. Now, this isn't just some abstract idea for a philosophy class. This intellectual trap has some absolutely devastating real-world consequences. We set out to master the world, but instead, we ended up being mastered by the very systems we built. The price we paid for all this power and control was a deep sense of alienation. We gained control over nature, sure, but in doing so, we became strangers to it, and eventually, strangers to ourselves. So, what happens to the individual? What happens to you and me in a system like this? Well, we get nullified. The unique human being is flattened out. You become a data point, a statistic, a consumer profile. You're just another piece of the giant economic machine, controlled by the very forces you helped create. And that is the new prison. See, we're not afraid of thunderstorms or angry gods anymore. Instead, we're enslaved to these massive, blind, objective systems we built. Economic models, bureaucratic rules, algorithms. These forces feel just as powerful and uncontrollable as nature once did. And that creates a brand new, modern kind of fear. The terror of being totally powerless against a system that is, when you really think about it, our own creation. So, is that it? Are we just doomed to be stuck in this cage we built for ourselves? Well, not necessarily. The same thinkers who diagnosed this whole problem also pointed towards a possible way out. The only solution is for reason to do the one thing it forgot how to do: turn that powerful, critical lens back on itself. The Enlightenment has to get self-aware. It needs to take a good, hard look in the mirror and recognize its own dark side, this obsessive, domineering impulse that's been hiding there all along. And this is the ultimate goal. For reason to be truly free, it has to give up its obsession with total control. It has to let go of that claim to mastery, which, in a great paradox, is the very thing that ended up enslaving it. True enlightenment, it turns out, isn't about dominating the world. It's about understanding our place within it. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. This whole critique was written back in the 1940s, but wow, does it feel more relevant than ever. In our world of big data, social media algorithms, and hyper-efficient systems, where do you see this drive for pure calculation creating new kinds of cages for us today? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching.